When I first realized that I wanted to program computers, I thought that Microsoft Office was the coolest thing, and I wanted to work on Microsoft Office. Thankfully, times have changed and my opinion has changed, but at the time, I felt like Microsoft Office is what was powering the world. It felt like everyone was using Office for spreadsheets for Excel, Access for their database, Word for, writing papers in school, which was most of my life at the time. But when I realized that Microsoft Office wasn't the thing that I wanted to work on, I realized I wanted to work on development, but I wasn't sure what. One of the things that's always been present in my life has been games. I play games, video games at this age. I've played them at a very young age and all the ages in between. I like them quite a bit. And what I want to talk about today is this beautiful little language that I'm coming to love more and more as time goes on, and that language is called Odin. So this is a tiny little tamagotchi that I've been building in Odin over today, and it has just been a joy, a complete joy. This is tiny, but I don't want to discount it too, because what we have here is an SDL rendered window. We've got, some animations that are, there's no like crazy animation stuff or like a library that takes care of this for us. This is like hand-rolled animations. Our Otagachi should soon change colors as he starts to not have his needs met. So hunger and happiness are going down. As time goes on, this will change. And you can click these buttons to feed and play with them. I do want to wait for his colors to change because I don't think I've broken that, but maybe I have. But yeah, so let me just really quick, not full screen this. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so here's our, okay, his color has changed. He's a darker green, and as time goes on, he will become even different colors until he eventually becomes red when he really needs to have his needs met. So this is neat, right? It gets neater when we press these buttons like feed, play, and talk. And of course, the window is draggable, which is also a bit of a pain with SDL when you choose to do a borderless frame. Having a draggable borderless window is a little tricky. But that was a fun little problem to solve too. And if you spot my browser history in the background, you can see that I was searching for all sorts of stuff to solve that problem. Okay, I'm patient, but I'm not that patient. And our poor little guy is hungry. So let's feed him. So if I click this feed button, we give him some food. And his color changes because he's starting to get happy. Actually, it goes back to his green, so maybe that's something to improve too. But if we play with him, he starts to dance. And he's enjoying it. We feed him some more. We can talk with him, and you can see that he becomes this bright, happy green again, does his animations, seems to have a great time, seems to be full of joy, which is what I want to talk about today, because I am too. Specifically, joy of programming, joy of Odin, joy of the fact that this is 600 lines of Odin code. We have a borderless SDL window with no external, I shouldn't say dependencies. Like I do depend on SDL being available on the system and SDL TTF for the true type font rendering. But it's like there's no package JSON equivalent for dependencies. Also because Odin doesn't have a package manager. But the point being, I didn't have to vendor anything, which is kind of crazy, right? SDL seems like something you'd vendor. Well, Odin ships with these. You know what? Let's make this better for you. I can just pull this up. And we'll go to like right here and let's just pull up Odin. Okay, yeah, we've been here before. That's why it's so large on this screen. This right here, right? So there are official libraries for all major graphics APIs, including OpenGL, Vulkan, Direct3D, Direct3D12, Metal, WGPU, WebGL 1 and 2, SDL2. That's what I'm using, which is awesome. So I was able to get this whole thing working with SDL2. Let's terminate our little project here and go ahead and look at some of the code really quick. One file, main.odin, everything's in here. Specifically, I just want to point out that it is 642 lines of code. This is like, I just finished this. So, there may be more to be done here, and there's plenty of opportunity for refactoring. I refactored a little bit as I went because I like to do that just generally as a part of my development process. But let me make this a little bigger for you too, so we are not so cramped on our text. So we can go there, Pull this over here and continue to make it even bigger. So how about them apples? Okay, there's a lot going on here. I don't necessarily know if it makes sense for this to be a tour of Odin code or like SDL or anything of that nature. I more so just want to point out that as a kid, I got excited about, weirdly enough, Microsoft Office being something I could work on and games. I love games. I've mentioned that previously. I love the idea of being able to build something. But when I started learning programming, I learned Java. And graphics in Java were weird. We kind of had Java FX. We had AWT, the Abstract Window Toolkit. We had Swing for forms and things of that nature. Moved out of Java, started doing some Python stuff. Qt was kind of the way to go, but I also found Pygame, which gave me some excitement again. Now, I'm not a game dev. I've been doing software stuff for 15, 16 years now, and it's mostly been web-related, front-end, mobile, software as a service, back-end type things, and not games. But, I doodle around with games every now and again, and this is without a doubt the most joyful experience building anything graphical outside of the web and outside of the mobile ecosystem, Flutter in particular, I've had in a long time. And honestly, it might be more joyful than building things in Flutter as well. So we have our nice little project here. There's not a ton going on. If you're familiar with Go, like this code should be pretty easy to read. We have some procedures that take care of our actions. These are called whenever we click those buttons, like feeding our pet, playing with the pet, talking with the pet. There's a context menu. I don't know if I showed you that now that I think about it. Let's actually run it. There's this little context menu here, which is the intended way to close the program if you're not running it from the command line. So you can click close and it'll close it. That context menu is a bit of a pain to get implemented, but it's all custom in Odin. And yeah, I think that's the part that is really fascinating to me. So I said custom in Odin. It is custom in Odin, but it's custom in Odin and SDL2. It's not like I'm leveraging some OS native thing to show a context menu. It is, hand rolled graphically. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Skimming through the code here, just trying to think if there's anything else that is particularly interesting to show off. I don't think there is really. This isn't that complex of a project. But again, I just want to state that, we have TrueType font rendering. We're using SDL. We've got some animations. We've got an event loop. We've got button handling text that's being rendered. I think that's really, if you were to break it down, that's what the project really is. But it's 642 lines of code, which is just fascinating to me. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that because building games is fun. Building graphical things is fun. And I feel like programming just needs a little bit more joy right now. And Odin is this interesting language that is like, it creates so much joy. For me, at least, it is creating so much joy. And I'm just excited to do more. So originally what I set out to do was I was going to build a little Pomodoro timer that I could just set in the bottom corner of my screen, and it would pop up and let me know hey, it's time to take a break. Started with that and then ended up building a little Tamagotchi. So I think I'm going to change this Tamagotchi to have a Pomodoro mode. That's kind of where the context menu is coming from, is that I could, be able to turn things on or off. So turning on a Pomodoro mode and then setting a timer. And then after, 15 or 25 minutes, whatever the Pomodoro technique is, I think 25, pops up and says, hey, take a break, or something of that nature. So yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty excited. I'll put the source code up if you want to look through it somewhere. It's a single file. It might just be a gist. I don't know. We'll figure it out, and you'll know by the time this video is published. But yeah, check Odin out. If you haven't tried it and you want to do anything graphical and you want to leverage way more interesting libraries than the one that I chose to use, which is SDL2, which, don't get me wrong, great library. I have no complaints. But these cans of worms could be even more interesting. So if you're interested in that type of thing, you can totally do that. I also noticed that there's an Odin binding kit. I think that's the correct term for Godot. So if you are looking to do graphical stuff, or game engine stuff with Godot, and you want to write some of your code in Odin, that might be an opportunity to explore as well. I also love Raylib, and they have support for Raylib, so you could check that out as well. It's a lot of as wells. But yeah, that's it, really. I just wanted to talk about how joyful this project has been, and check out Odin if you haven't. I think if you're a Go dev, you're going to love it. If you are a graphics developer or a game developer, there's a really good chance that you'll love it as well. And honestly, if you're like me and you've been doing front end, mobile, or back end web service stuff for the last 15 or 16 years, there's a good chance you'll love it here as well again. So check it out. And yeah, I think that's it. If you found this video helpful, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It helps me, it helps the algorithm. I'd like to think that ultimately helps you get better content than just whatever rage bait YouTube is putting in front of you. So a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications of new videos. To do that, you'll also have to ring the bell. And then finally, come join us in the Code with Cypher Discord. We are a fun bunch of people that talk about all sorts of stuff, and we have a pretty diverse crew of people representing a lot of different preferred programming languages, which can sometimes lead to some really interesting inspections of languages from different lenses that you might not get in your own little microcosms. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.